Welcome to a brand new series that we are just launching called The Wormhole. I'm your host, Dr. Sharon Hack. And what is a wormhole? Well, in space-time, if it's a shortcut you can take through space-time. So if you are here and you wanted to get there, well, guess what? You can take a shortcut through a wormhole. And that's what this show is going to be all about. We're going to see who are we going to meet, our mystery guest, as we go through the wormhole. So let's get started. I wonder who our mystery guest today is.
This is the wonders of modern technology. Thank you for having me here. Thank you.
Well, what do you know? It's Professor William Schoenberg. So who is this very esteemed and great professor we have on the show with us today? Well, Professor William Schoenberg, he's actually a civil engineering professor at the Missouri University of Science and Technology. He is proud to call his alma mater Princeton and Northwestern. And his mission is dedicated to improving personnel, maybe even personnel safety in space flight operations. So welcome, Professor, to the wormhole. Well, you're on the other end of the wormhole and I'm on one end here. Fantastic. So my first question to you is, as I've just introduced you, what's a civil engineer doing working on space stuff?
Well, I grew up in the 60s at the height of the space program in the US back then, and have always been in love with space and became a civil engineer, I guess just maybe because my dad was a civil engineer. But I've always had an eye for things in outer space. And my first job was at the University of Alabama in Huntsville, which is right next to the Marshall Space Flight Center. So it was like a kid in a candy store. I had a great time meeting all kinds of fun people, interesting people, and working on some projects. And I've been hooked on space, working on space ever since.
Well, that is fascinating. Every little kid wants to grow up and go into space in one way or another, and you've actually done it. But I understand junk is kind of your specialty. Is that right?
Right. Yes. I worry about what happens when a piece of space junk, piece of debris, or a meteoroid hits a spacecraft. What's going to happen to the people inside? What's going to happen to the satellite? I worry about all these large satellite constellations that we're putting up there, and I worry about how to protect our people that are up there. It's important to keep them safe, and so that's what I've been doing for the last 30 some odd years.
Wow, that's really fantastic. So do you worry about a big meteor or even an asteroid coming and crashing into planet Earth? Since you're
into planet Earth. You know, that's fun to read about, but no, that's really outside of what I do. That's planetary defense and planetary protection. But that's it's a kind of related to what I do. But I usually worry about small things. I mean, anything bigger than a stapler, if it hits you, is a bad day in space. And so I worry about the small things.
Wow, you said bigger than a stapler. So what's like the average size of some of these particles that could be risky?
That's really a tricky question, because there are spent boosters up there, which are of course the size of a school bus or a minivan, and there are also teeny tiny pieces, meteoroids, pieces of space debris the size of paint flecks. So it's really, you can see things that are bigger than let's see, to bring this to bigger than a cricket ball. If I say cricket ball, you know what size I'm talking about, right? So
yes, I think that's similar to your baseball, since we are broadcasting to the whole world, right?
We're broadcasting everywhere. So baseball, size of a baseball, it's almost like a cricket ball. So bigger than that, you can actually track and see pretty much, and can hopefully avoid. But it's the stuff that you can't see, the stuff that you can't avoid, the stuff that if it's going to hit you could still cause a lot of damage. That's the kind of stuff that I worry about the most, is maybe stuff that's a marble size or a blueberry size, things like that. That can cause a lot of damage, but it's too small to see and run away from.
Oh, wow. So in your line of work, are you sort of monitoring the density of these things, or do you have to advise on the spacecrafts in terms of how it can protect it from it?
I use that information to help engineers design safer spacecraft. So there are different, there's the environment people that kind of worry about the density and the stuff that's up there. And is it steel? Is it aluminum? Is it paint? Is it rocket fuel, effluent? They characterize by altitude and by density what stuff is up there. I then take that information and say, okay, you tell me where you're going to put your spacecraft. And then with that information, I will tell you what you are likely to hit, and then what you need to do to protect yourself, how thick your walls have to be. What do they have to be made out of? Oh, you're making them out of this material. Well, let's see what happens. Oh, that's not good enough because it's too thin. And so you either need to make it thicker or you have to use a different kind of material. So I'm kind of on the terminal ballistics, the impact side of things.
I see. So it's a fair thing to call you a space junkie. And I can
that's that. Yep.
All right. So one of the things we like to do on this show is not just get to know the work that you're doing, but to get to know the man, because I'm sure we can find a lot about your work on the internet. And
right.
One just has to Google Professor William Schoenberg, space junk, and it should land us into a lot of what you do. But I'm sure who William is, I want to get to know that a little. So Professor, I put together a couple of questions that we get to know who is Professor Schoenberg.
Okay.
Are you, Professor? Okay, so here we go. If you had to choose between being happy or being right, and it's mutually exclusive, which would you pick?
Oh boy, I think, you know what? I would probably say be happy, because if I'm happy, then I know I did the right thing. Because if I did the wrong thing, then I can't be happy. So it's kind of one deal, you know.
One can argue that point, right? If what makes us happy is always right, sometimes things that can make us happy may not be so right. But that's good. That's good. It's a sort of philosophical conundrum there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now we know that a professor wants to be happy, which
yes, please.
Yeah, well, we all want that. Okay, let's go to another one. What did you wish you knew before you got into your career?
Well, as a professor, I spend a lot of time teaching students, working with students. And I wish someone had told me how I can assign grades without feeling guilty. Because these kids work real hard, you know, and they do their best. And I spend, and I'm sure you as a professor, we all spend a lot of time agonizing, because it's these kids' future, and it's not just the grade, it's not just the course. And so, you know, you do take to heart what grade they earn, and you want to be fair to everybody, but you can't help feeling a little bit like, oh, I wish they had done a little better on exam 3. And so anyway, you know, grading is really hard for me sometimes. And I wish somebody had taught me how to not feel guilty about what I give for grades.
That's a great angle at it. And as you say, yes, as a person in the teaching profession myself, yes, I have agonized, you know, and sometimes it's like, which way do you, and it's close to a border point. And I'm like, sometimes, and if my students out there listening, they're going to get a little into my own mindset. Right. Okay, it's your lucky day.
Sometimes that happens. Hey, I'm in a good mood. I'm happy today, you know.
Okay, so let's go again. So this is just a short one. If you could plant either flower plants or trees only, one or the other, which would you choose?
No, I would do fruit trees, because fruit trees start off as flowers. So you get so it's another 2 for 1. If you plant just flowers, they're gone, they're done. But if you plant fruit trees, you have flowers everywhere, and then you can eat what happens next.
Okay, now we see why you're a professor and your alma mater is Princeton. You got me, Professor. That was a win-win answer. Did you have a hero? Anyone who inspired you?
Oh boy, you know, I loved reading about Richard Feynman and everything that he was able to do, and the fact that he was able to do so many great things in perhaps a non-traditional kind of way. He was definitely not what you would call a traditional professor that I would think of as being a traditional professor. So if I, you know, it's hard to have heroes when you're an engineer because it's not something we commonly think about, having heroes as engineers. But yeah, I mean, so a person that I would definitely consider as someone that I admire, enjoyed learning, reading about would be Richard Feynman.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice. So I hope when we have you on back some other time that you've learned to play some bongo drums, and we're going to hold you to that.
Okay, sounds good. I will start.
So much. He's a quirky professor, and my guest today is a quirky professor. Richard Feynman works. What's your favorite song?
What's my favorite song? Oh, my favorite artist is Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, yay!
Yay! And I would have to go back to some of his older stuff. There's a song that he recorded. You know, it's a good song when it makes you tingle, when it kind of like gives you the chills. And I don't know. So I guess a song Backstreets that he recorded a long time ago. Whenever I hear that song, it always takes me back. It always takes me away from where I am. And it always makes me feel like, ooh, this just sort of hits me in the right spot.
And do you start dancing in the dark?
No. If it's going to be dancing, it's going to be dark because you don't want to see it.
Okay. All right. Do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie, Casablanca from wonderful movie. Great lines, great story, great message. It hits it on all burners.
Okay. Do you know I've never seen it, so I'll put that on my list.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, next time we see each other, I will expect a critical review of the movie.
Okay. What superpower do you wish you had?
Superpower. Ooh, so many to choose from, right? Wow. You know, boy, there's so much pain and anger in the world. Sometimes you see it too often. I wish I could heal people, maybe so that they wouldn't be quite as angry and quite as mean sometimes. You know, it's just life is too short for all that to be happening. I wish I could get rid of it.
We definitely need people with that superpower. So power to you. I hope you have the power to heal the world. Okay, so with that, what would be your message to the world?
Oh, my message to the world. Oh, there was so I love movies. So that this will tell you I love movies, I love music, so that's where a lot of my answers are coming from, right? But Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, you know, I would tell the people of the world, be excellent to each other.
Oh, I love that. So all of you watching us today, be excellent to each other. Message
exactly
sent
right.
from Professor William Schoenberg. Okay, so, well, it's clear to all of us that you're highly motivated. You've done a lot of exciting stuff. What keeps you motivated?
You know, as human beings, we have to eat, we have to live and shelter, right? So paychecks keep me motivated.
That's a good one.
It's simple, really. I mean,
okay, so moving on.
Yeah.
Is there an idea, an invention that you find mind-blowing?
So maybe, I don't know about mind-blowing, but maybe undervalued. Maybe something that a lot of people don't think about. And it's something that we rely on, that without it, everything else would just not exist. And that's clean water, or
Oh, wow.
the availability of clean water. I mean, most of the diseases that are around happen because we don't have clean water in some places. And it's something we take for granted. I mean, we travel, first thing we do, I'm finally in my hotel room. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm thirsty. All right, guys, get a drink of water, you know, and without even thinking, we turn the tap on, unless we've been told downstairs in the lobby, don't do that, you know. But it's something that is very undervalued, I think, the concept of clean water.
Yes, I think you are definitely right. I mean, we sit with it, and especially in the developed countries, we
Mm.
really don't give it a second thought as to its importance and value. Okay, so if you could be any age, what age would you choose to be?
Where I am now is just fine. You
All
know,
right.
I'm a little follically challenged, and maybe I could have another superpower to fix that. But you know, I like being where I am right now. I look back at the younger Bill, and yeah, don't want to have to go through all that all over again. So thank
All
you very
right.
much. This is just
So,
fine.
so this bill has had an excellent adventure.
I've had a great time. I'm happy with my life, and you know, there's always things that you can do better or differently, maybe tweaks. But this is good.
Okay. And if you could live in any era, what era would you choose?
Ooh, you know, it's really easy to get nostalgic and say, "Oh, there, I wish I was back when life was simpler." And oh, there's this great book called the the good times that never were, or something like that. You know, every age, every era has its issues, and I think that we, even now, of course, we have certain issues and problems that we have to deal with, but it's compared to some of the previous eras. Yeah, there have been benefits. Yeah, life was quote unquote simpler or easier. No, it wasn't. It wasn't simpler and it wasn't easier. It's pretty simple and it's pretty easy right now for the most part for a lot of people. For some people that are still struggling, I understand that there's still a struggle. But for me personally, this is a good time to be alive. This is a great time to be alive.
You love your age. You love the era you live in. So this is good. This is
Yeah.
good. Okay, so now I want you to reflect a bit. If life is a game of snakes and ladders, and I believe in America, you folks say shoots and
Shoots
ladders.
and ladders, snakes and ladders.
Yeah,
Oh, I like that. Okay,
yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah. We actually, the original thing really is snakes and ladders.
Huh.
Did you meet more snakes or ladders in your life?
I've been real lucky. I've had a lot of ladders. A lot of people have helped me. Some when I needed a kick in the pants, had given me a kick in the pants to move me along at the right points. I have good friends. I know great colleagues all over the world, and it's been fun working with all the people that I've met, and so I've definitely been blessed with a lot of ladders in my life.
Fantastic, fantastic. Because sometimes even one snake can really,
Yeah, there are some snakes along the way, but yeah, you get on the ladder and you move up. That's fine. You know, next
right?
move on.
Yeah, very good. One word to describe life on planet Earth.
Precious.
Excellent. What's your proudest moment?
Proudest moment? Oh, so many. So many. When I married my wife, it was like when I had my kids, when my kids graduated, you know,
Yeah.
when my kids got on somebody else's payroll, you know. No, there've been so many, but mostly it's all about family. And
Yeah, that's what I immediately picked up. That is some of your best and proudest, well, clearly your proudest moments have to do with your family and the love. All right. So since you didn't mention career, have you had a career high point?
wow, it's been a steady barrage of fun things, career high point. So my career is basically in two halves. There's the scholarly researchy half, and then there's the teaching university half. You know, I was department chair for a long time, and it was great to have on that aspect. It was great to have my department and its programs recognized on a national level. The faculty worked real hard and still working real hard, but to get the department recognized nationally by a national ranking venue, I was very proud of all the faculty, and they did such a great job. That was my proudest moment, I think, in that regard. Professionally, scholarly wise, research wise, my proudest moment, I guess, was when I got my first NASA contract, maybe. I mean, I don't know. It just working just the entire last 30 some odd years working with NASA has been one moment of feeling happy about that, feeling proud about that. But again, knowing that, you know, I'm very lucky in what I do, and I've been very lucky to be able to be given that opportunity, you know, pride doesn't really come into play very much. It's really kind of a humble thing when you realize that you have an awesome responsibility that, you know, I mean, if I get my dimensions or my pluses and minuses wrong, bad things can happen to people, you know, and so the pride quickly takes the back seat, and all of a sudden you start, the worry and the anxiety takes over.
Okay. So let me just bring you back down to earth. Actually, Albert Einstein always referred to what was his happiest thought, and it has to do with his understanding of gravity. So what is your happiest thought?
My happiest thought? My happiest thought is when I wake up and I still have a pulse. I can still feel I'm still breathing. It's a good day, you know. I can walk, you know. My happiest thought is to look outside and see all the beauty that's out there, and just try to remember that, hey, everything that may be not going right, if you know, what is the saying from there was another great movie, and you'll forgive me, but the ending of the movie title was the Marigold Hotel, but it was something like the most excellent, most wonderful, awesome Marigold Hotel or something like that. And I think the person who worked at the front desk said, everything will turn out right in the end. If it hasn't yet turned out right, then it's not yet at the end.
At the end. I love that. It's amazing that you quoted that one. So for those of you out there who have not seen that movie, but that is a really profound quote out of it. So you and I know a pre-social media era. Many people watching us can never imagine a world where there was no social media. So, Professor, what do you think? Do you think social media has helped us more or hurt us more?
I think social media has opened up opportunities that just hadn't existed before. And with that kind of I love to ask my kids this when I teach a communications class. I say, with great power comes great responsibility. And I always ask them who said that, and they always come up with an answer that reflects their age as opposed to the wisdom that perhaps they need. But that's okay.
I wouldn't answer it. I may be right alongside them.
Yeah, it's okay. So we leave that for the audience now to go look up online and get educated, right? Okay.
Yes.
And so the social media has given us great power and has done great things for us. But sometimes with that great power, we have neglected our responsibility to use it wisely. And you know, it's a toss-up, but I think overall, I like to think that social media has given us a new set of tools that we can use to advance our civilization. And yes, there will be hiccups, and yes, there will be aspects of it that we wish didn't exist. But I think overall, we are moving on the path that we need to be on.
Fantastic. And it's a wrap. Professor, yes, it's a wrap. It was so fantastic meeting you through the wormhole. Yes, it's a slinky, but maybe it can connect us. Very much, Professor William Schoenberg, for joining us on our first episode of The Wormhole. And to all of you out there, I'm signing off here from none other than Studio 42, where you can find the answers to life, the universe, and everything through 42. The wormhole. Bye.